Alright, so here we're going to talk about cross multiplication. Now, cross multiplication is important because it can be used in several different places. Pretty much anytime you have a proportion involved, you can use cross multiplication to help you solve the problem. So cross multiplication is something that you can use when you have a fraction equal to a fraction. This is actually called the proportion, but really it's a fraction, two fractions that are equal to each other. You do need to know that they're equal in order to use this. So how it works is numerators and denominators kind of make a cross with each other, kind of like this, like a little X pattern, right? Where these two are paired up and these two are paired up. So each cross, or each part of the X, really need to be equal to each other in order to the fraction to be equal. So, or in other words, what this means is that these numbers multiplied together must give you the exact same number as when these numbers multiply together. So that tells me then that 25 times whatever x is needs to be equal to 5 times whatever 10 is. 5 times 10, right. Well, 25 times x is equal to 5 times 10. Well, that means that 25 times x should equal to 50. So now, in order to find out what the x is, I ask myself, well, 25 times what gives me 50? Or, another way to think about this is if I'm solving for this x here, I need to get rid of this 25. To get rid of anything, you do the opposite of what's there. This is multiplying by 25. So to get rid of the multiplication by 25, I have to divide by 25. 25 divided by 25 here just gives me 1, leaving me with just 1x. Since this is an equation, if I divide the left-hand side by 25, I also need to divide the right-hand side by 25. And then 50 divided by 25 tells me that my answer is 2. So what you might notice that we did here is we did 5 times 10 to get the 50, and then divided by the 25. Alright, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Now we try this one here. Well, the same deal must happen, right? So 3 times 32 must be equal to 24 times whatever x is. So 24 times x equals 3 times 32. Alright, so 24 times x is equal to 3 times 32 is 96. Now to solve for x, I need to get rid of this 24. So that tells me I would have to divide by 24. What I do to one side of the equation, I do on the other side of the equation. 24 divided by 24 gives me x. So, well, 24 divided by 24 gives me 1, so 1x. And then 96 divided by 24 gives me my final answer of 4. So, in this one, we multiplied 5 by 10, and then divided by 25. So 5 by 10 and then divided by 25. In this one we multiplied 3 by 32 and then divided by 24. So what you might notice is that there is a little bit of a pattern here. In this x pattern, you've got the unknown variable on one of the pairs. And the other pair, say this one was 5 times 10, I knew both numbers. So since I know both of these numbers, I end up multiplying them together. And the number that's left over is the number that I end up dividing by. So you kind of see this multiplication and division pattern. So over here, the same kind of thing happens. I know these two numbers, 3 and 32, so they get multiplied. And then I divide by the other number that's left over, which in this case is 24. So I could take a little bit of a shortcut here. Instead of doing this, I could just say that my x is equal to, multiply these two, 5 times 10, and then divide by the number that's left over, which is 25. Likewise, I could take the shortcut here. I could say that x is equal to, you know, these two numbers, so multiply them. So 3 times 32, and then divide by the number that's left over, 24. Let's do another example. Another two, maybe. So this one here, so we've got 2 over 7 equals 14 over x. Alright, so if I look at my x pattern, it's right here. So these two numbers here, I don't know both of them, so I'll hold on that for a minute. But these two numbers here, I do know both 7 and 14. So I know that those are the numbers that are going to get multiplied together. 7 and 14 get multiplied, and then I divide by the number that's left over. So to multiply these, divide by the 2. So divided by 2. So my answer is 7 times 14 divided by 2. So I think when you do that, you'll get 49. Alright, let's look at another one. Let's look at 15 over 18 equals x over 9. So in this case, my x is here. So that means these two numbers I don't know, because I don't know what that one is. But these two here, I do know. So those are the numbers that get multiplied. So I've got x is equal to 15 times 9. And then the number that's left over is the 18, so I divide by the 18. So then that gives me 15 times 9 is 135 divided by 18, so 7.5. So this just shows you that your answers can come out as decimals. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does, and that's okay.